You're translating this energy into words for somebody else in a way that they have maybe struggled to do for themselves.
The main goal with your copy is that you want people to read it, to feel something. Of course, you want them to do something. You want them to take that next step.
Copy is just speaking to people. It's just communication.
I mean, there's science and psychology and all that, but really it is an art. And that's the kind of feedback I love hearing the most, when clients say, oh my gosh, I was struggling so much, but it's like you took the thoughts in my head and put them down into paper in a way that I couldn't, in a way that I was struggling with.
When we finally own all of who we are, I think we find that we attract those who need us the most.
I don't need to change. I can stay my introverted, confident self, and people will still be attracted to that. There's a person for everyone. So I didn't need to change, and I don't need to change who I am to have a thriving business.
How can we just really love who we are and then help other people do the same?
Oh, don't ask me to be loud. Just let me be me. But the caveat, of course, is I do feel like as an introvert or anybody, you do need to be willing to step out of your comfort zone too. So stay who you are, but every once in a while, get out of your comfort zone, try new things. Otherwise, you're just going to miss out on so much.
You are the one that you've been waiting for. No need to knock open the door. Take the leap and be the dream. Be the Dream is your guide to authentically sharing your voice and stepping into the life you've always wanted. Whether through music, speaking, or creative expression, we're here to help you own your unique sound and make an impact. I'm Carolee Garrison, and this is your time. As a lighthouse for aspiring vocalists, I'm here to illuminate the path to fearless self-expression, helping you tap into your most vivacious voice. Through powerful interviews and expert insights, you're going to gain the confidence to be heard, be seen, and finally be the dream. Hey everyone, welcome back to another amazing episode of the Be the Dream podcast. Today we are switching it up a little bit, and I'm talking to an incredible introvert, and we're going to talk about how you can shine your light and be your most epic, amazing self as an introvert, which is such an incredible topic because I totally believe that you can be confident and radiant and just rock the whole world no matter how you are. If you're an introvert, if you're an extrovert, if you are, shy, redheaded, blonde, blue-eyed, brunette, whatever. We all have our different colors of the rainbow, so to speak. We all have our different ways of being, and success doesn't look one way. You don't have to have a business that looks the way that anybody else's does, and you can just be yourself and find your own brand of success. So I'm really excited today that we're talking to Nicole Kepic. She is a sales copywriter with over 20 years of experience, and she helps female coaches and other creative entrepreneurs stand out from the crowd, attract their ideal clients, and sell out their signature offers with fun, feel-good copy. She's also the author of Don't Ask Me to Be Loud, the Introverted Girl's Guide to Online Business. In this relatable book, she shows you how you don't need to be the loudest or boldest person on the internet to run a thriving, joyful, and in-demand business. When she's not on her laptop, Nicole's usually spending time with her family or staying up way past her bedtime to devour a suspense novel. You can learn more about her at NicoleKepic.com or hang out with her on social media, where you won't see her dancing. She's so much fun, and I really loved getting to know her, and I think you're just going to love this episode. Welcome, Nicole. Nicole, I'm so excited to talk to you today and to get to know you. You are a copywriter, and that is such a cool profession, and I'd love to dive in by getting to know what brought you into copywriting. What drew you to this as a career?
Well, okay, I will try not to give the very long story, but I went to school for journalism. I always knew I loved writing. I wanted to be a writer. But then as an introvert, when I studied journalism, a lot of journalism is racing to the scene and getting the story and being really assertive. And that part of the job, I was like, that's not really for me. I just love the writing aspect. So after I graduated, a lot of my journalism friends applied for true journalism jobs. but I segued into copywriting. I got a job at a fitness and bodybuilding company, writing a bunch of, ads and advertorials. So that kickstarted my copywriting career. And yeah, I never looked back.
How cool. So I love how this is really speaking to getting to know yourself and what it is that you love and how the work speaks to you. I'm very much an extrovert, which
An
you
extrovert,
probably
yeah.
could tell, and you probably have seen from my show. And so but we talk so much about like, what is your dream and how does that, how do you make things work for you and for your life? And so you were talking about how, you know, journalism, it doesn't have to look one way. It doesn't have to look like the hustle and the grind of running after these big, high ticket, high tension scenes. It can look calm. It can look like peaceful and more, leaning in toward the introvert side of like, just like, let's relax and enjoy this. And so I like, talk to us about how you got to know yourself on this level, because that takes time to understand what you really want in a job instead of going with the thing that everyone says you're supposed to do.
Yeah, I don't know. I think at that point in my early 20s, I probably didn't even know the word introvert or know what that meant. I
Yeah.
just knew what I liked and didn't like. And I kind of got that first copywriting job by accident. I had a boyfriend who was super into fitness at the time, and he said, "Oh, this company is hiring." And I think secretly he just wanted the free supplements. He was like, "If she gets a job here, I will get free protein bars and free protein powder." So, yeah, that's where I started. And then I had a full career, 9 to 5, as a copywriter. I didn't stay at that company. I moved around. Then I went to an education company. And then my last role was at a creative agency. So I was the copywriter on staff. I was working with designers and account directors. And then basically, whenever our agency had different clients that needed copy, I was the person who got to write that. So it was really fun. It was like me getting to write all the things for all the clients. So that was my 9 to 5. And yeah, again, very introvert friendly because it's just me at my desk writing the copy and, also doing presentations and stuff, of course, going through strategy. So yeah, that was my 9 to 5 role. And then a few years ago, I left the corporate space and now I'm a copywriter for online business owners, just running my full-time business.
Amazing. And it takes so much courage to leave that 9 to 5 and to jump into your own business. So talk to that for a minute. Like, what was that journey like for you to
Yeah,
leave?
it was, you're right. It was a bit scary, but I didn't do it like some people where I just jumped really quickly. I started freelancing on the side. So I had
Mm,
my 9 to 5 copywriting role, and then on the side I was serving, freelance copywriting clients, doing both for many years, like almost 10 years. It was like a slow
wow.
burn. And then finally I was like, okay, I think it's time. I think it's time to leave corporate and take the leap. And it was, to your point, it was still scary because with corporate, you've got your steady paycheck every 2 weeks and, the benefits, the health benefits, the other benefits, the other perks, and you have projects coming to you. But now that I'm running my own business, it's like, oh, wait, like, yes, of course, the dream is to attract clients, but there are times where I still have to go out there. I have to market, I have to find clients. So it's not as easy as some might think.
Ooh, I love that. So as a copywriter, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you're essentially taking somebody's ideas and you're translating it into like really something beautiful. It's so much. I'm as kind of an artist and a singer, and I do all these other things. It's a similar thing in my brain. It's you're translating this energy into words for somebody else in a way that they have maybe struggled to do for themselves.
Yes, yes. And you said that so beautifully too. I love that you appreciate the art of it too. Yeah,
Yeah, it's such an art.
yeah, I mean, there's science and psychology and all that, but really it is an art. And that's the kind of feedback I love hearing the most when clients say, "Oh my gosh, I was struggling so much," but it's like you took the thoughts of my head and put them down into paper in a way that I couldn't, in a way that I was struggling with. And a lot of times for clients, it's the sales piece too. They want to write words that sell, but they don't want to come across, salesy and pushy. Like who really does? Nobody wants to
Right.
come across that way. So that's part of it too. Yeah, I mean, your copy has to do so many things. It has to be clear, it has to be compelling, it has to touch people on an emotional level, it has to get people to act, to do the next thing you want them to do. So, yeah, I mean, I'm biased. I could go on, but yeah, it's a
Right.
tall order, right, for your words.
Yeah, what advice do you have for people who are trying to write better? I mean, that writing is something that we all have to do all the time. And I feel like those who hire you have to have some ability to communicate what they're looking for.
Yeah,
And
they do and they don't. I mean, because I mostly do done for you services, so a lot of times it's business owners like it's working together, of course, but it's me taking the project and writing the copy for them because either they don't have the time to do it or they don't have the desire, like they just would rather do anything else, or like I said, they struggle. So, I mean, but first and foremost, if you are writing your own copy, the biggest thing is just to be super clear on your audience because
mm,
if you have that piece missing, if you're trying to serve everyone or you're trying to sell a million different things at once, like be super clear on your audience, be super, super clear on your offer, what it is you're selling. That's the starting point for sure.
oh, amazing. All right. So I have this thought, and I
Okay.
think that you might be really passionate about it. AI and Chat GPT. I feel like there's a lot of people today who are like, who needs a copywriter when I could just stick all my ideas into AI? And we all know that AI has its flaws and
Yeah.
can come up with quite interesting results. So I would love for you to speak to the authenticity that a real human can bring to the table versus AI.
Yeah, and I love that you asked that. It's funny. I just published my first book last month, and when
Amazing.
yeah, and then when my
Congratulations, first of
thank
all. What an
you,
accomplishment.
thank you, and the whole thing wasn't about copywriting. There was just one chapter on copywriting. It was a more holistic approach to running a business as an introvert. But after my editor read it, she said, "You know what? The only thing I see missing in this book is you haven't addressed AI. You haven't talked about your thoughts on AI." And I was like, okay, so this is basically my thought. I don't want to sound like a dinosaur who's not willing to adjust. I do think it's very valuable for business owners because I certainly see and understand how business owners don't have the money to invest in a copywriter every time they need a sentence written for their business. So it can help people in that sense. And it's also good for generating ideas. But yes, I truly believe that human copy is always going to be better. Human copy written by a person, a real life person who has experienced things, who has emotions. I believe it's going to be better than copy generated by AI, by a robot. So that's where I stand.
Mm.
Like I said, I don't want to sound like a dinosaur, but I do feel like there is a difference. And I've had clients tell me that too, and other business owners saying, oh, I can definitely tell the difference between AI copy and copy written by a copywriter. So,
There's just kind of an energy about it. There's just this tinge of, I don't know, done, like has been done, this fakeness that you can sense about stuff that's been written by AI. And we have to bring that humanity back to
yes,
everything that we do.
amen to that. Amen. Yeah,
Mm.
I mean, yeah, it's just human versus robot. That's all I can say. But like I
Yeah,
said, I mean, I maybe am not the best person to ask because I don't use AI. I feel very strongly that if people are paying me for custom
right.
human
Same.
copy, I'm not going to go hop on, all the tools and start generating copy through that. I'm
Right.
going to make sure it's just copy from my brain so it really is original and authentic. But
Yes.
again, for
Well, and
idea generation, sure.
yeah. And speaking of authenticity, I love that you speak to introverts because, obviously us extroverts tend to be the loudest. We tend to be the ones that draw all the attention, but introverts need to have their day. They need to be seen and heard. And I would love to hear you talk to that because you've got your whole book written on this topic. And we need to so appreciate all of the beauty and the diversity that exists in humanity and like even those who are not the loudest.
Yes, for sure. And I just want to put on record here, I love extroverts. I always say that I'm like, I have so many extroverted friends. I just admire extroverts for their presence and just the way they communicate. But the reason why I chose to write a book through the lens of an introvert is because I personally felt when I was leaving the corporate space, like there were so many times when I was in corporate where people would say, Nicole, your work is amazing. You just need to be louder. You need to be more vocal in
Mm,
meetings. And I always felt frustrated, like, oh, why can't my work just speak for itself? Why do I have to be somebody I'm not? And then when I left that space and, went fully into online business, I worried, oh my gosh, am I going to have this fake, big, bold personality to stand out? Like, what if I get lost in the sea of copywriters and other business owners because I'm a quieter personality? Like, is my business doomed from the start? And I since realized that no, I don't need to change. I can stay my introverted, confident self, and people will still be attracted to that. There's a person for everyone. So I didn't need to
yeah.
change, and I don't need to change who I am to have a thriving business.
Yes. Well, and I love one thing you said there was you said confident. You can be confident and introverted. And I have coached on confidence a lot. And one thing that I learned when I was studying confidence is that a lot of people think that confidence and extroversion go hand in hand, and that you have to be louder, like to display confidence is to be loud, is to be social and open and all of these extroverted qualities. But confidence has nothing to do with that. Confidence can be, in those peaceful, quiet moments. And it's almost more powerful when it is. It's that internal self assurance that has nothing to do with anybody else. It just has to do with knowing who you are and that true authenticity of just loving yourself.
Yeah, I love how you've described it there. And I for sure thought that confidence equated with being louder and more extroverted. But yeah, I've certainly found it not to be true. For the longest time, I actually did not want to call myself an introvert because I felt like people associated introversion with, like, yes, you're not confident, you don't like people, you don't like being social. And I just
Mm,
thought, but I love people. I go to social events. Like, I know there's different degrees of introversion, so maybe some people are more like less inclined to go to social events, but I feel like, oh no, I'm a social person. I like people. So I didn't want to attach the word introvert to my name at first because I
yeah.
thought, oh, people are going to judge me. And then finally I went the other direction and wrote a book like focused on introversion. So
Well,
yeah.
and I bet now, like when we finally own, I don't know, all of who we are, I think we find that we attract those who need us the most.
Yes, yes, for sure. And it's funny, I had another business coach tell me, well, maybe you should become the copywriter for introverts. But I haven't niched down that much yet because like right now I still love writing for introverts and extroverts. And so I don't want to necessarily niche down that far, but I would say most of my clients are introverts when I actually do the math or look at my client roster. So yeah.
Well, and I think it's funny how you can tell, like there's so many things that we can fake and we can pretend and we can do all these things, but this is one that it's hard to fake. It's hard to fake being an extrovert if you're not, and it's hard to fake being an introvert if you're not. We just kind of are who we are, and we just get to learn how to love the way that we are.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's also tied into if you're running a business, it's going to affect how you
Mm.
market. So
Yeah.
again, you can think to yourself, oh, I need to do all of the things and all of, the more extroverted activities to succeed. Or you can just be okay with, no, I can pick and choose which ones feel best to me and my energy and my personality. So that's pretty much what I'm doing. Like I really lean on email because it's very it isn't one to one, but it feels one to one, just when you're sitting down writing
Yeah.
an email or even podcast interviews like this. I really love them because it's one to one again. And you get the chance to go deep sometimes like this, like you're not just doing surface level.
Mm.
So So yeah.
Yes, I love that. Like customizing your business for who you are instead of just going off of, what is supposed to work for everybody because nothing really does. Nothing really is cookie cutter like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you go on my Instagram, like I need to start doing more reels. I shouldn't say I need to. I would like to start doing more reels, but I certainly won't be dancing and, doing some of those
Right.
things. So, yeah, again, it's just like, what do I like? What comes easy to me? What's enjoyable to me? And that's the place where I try to stay and try to live in.
Yeah, I love this. And what's coming to my mind is like viewing like introversion or whatever it is about you, like as your superpower. And you've kind of tied that in with your book and with everything that you do. You're like copywriting and introversion superpowers. Here I am. I'm owning it. And this is what I do. And this is how I help you. And so then you call in the people who need you the most.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess so.
And
Yeah, certainly.
it's so beautiful. And so I think one of the greatest things that I'm learning from you is like, how can we just really love who we are and then help other people do the same?
Yeah. And full transparency, I want to admit that sometimes it does still feel like a journey. Like sometimes,
Oh,
like
always.
I said, I am still jealous, like jealous in a good way of extroverts. I'm like, oh, it looks like some things come easier to extroverts. But I mean, that's such a stereotype, right? But yeah, so sometimes there's those feelings like, ooh, would it be easier to sell if I was an extrovert? Or would it be easier to market if I was an extrovert? But again, it's just leaning into your superpowers and owning who you are.
Yeah, and that's one thing I think everyone has to deal with is we look at somebody else and think that the grass is greener on the other
Yeah.
side. And it's something we have to learn that nobody has it easy. Nothing is easy like entirely for anybody. There's always pros and cons. There's always things and it's just life. Life is lifey for everybody.
Yeah, certainly, for
Yeah.
sure.
It's so fun. So tell us about, more about how you help people and how people work with you.
Yeah, so like I said, it's mostly the done for you copywriting.
Love it.
So again, it's people that just are not confident with their copy. So they feel like maybe the copy doesn't sound like them, it doesn't feel like them, it doesn't have any
Mm.
personality. And again, that whole selling piece is big, especially if I'm writing a sales page. They want the sales page to sell.
What's
Um,
the process of getting copy to sound more like somebody? Like if I was like, okay, I've got the sales page, how do you make it sound more like me when you're like just getting to know somebody? What's some of that process?
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest questions I get is, but how can you sound like me? Like, how can you speak in my voice?
Right.
And a part of it, honestly, it's like when you do something, but you don't know how to explain how you do it, like it just comes
Yeah.
natural to you. Sometimes I feel like it's that. But then, of course, it's the research. So if I meet a new client, I'm talking to them, I'm asking them questions, I'm going on I'm looking at their existing online presence. So I would go, if they had
Mm.
an existing website, I'd go there. I'd look at their social media. I would just listen to them talk. And then every new client I send them a custom questionnaire. So it's custom questions all about them, their business, their audience, so I can really get to know them. And then that informs the copy. Basically, once they've answered that questionnaire, I usually have everything I need.
Ooh, are there any special questions on that? Like I've heard of people who are like, I have this one question that just tells me everything I need to know about a person.
Oh, geez.
And it's some like weird, like what was the one I heard? Like your teachers, like your favorite teacher and why? Because it informed, I don't know, something like that.
Oh, got you. I mean, I wish I had one question that kind of answered everything, but no, it's more of a series of questions. Um, and some of the questions people don't necessarily know how to answer. Like I might even say, what tone of voice would you like for your copy? But sometimes they don't know. And so I'll give them examples like, do you want it friendly? Do you want it casual? Do you want it more buttoned up
Um,
or formal? But sometimes they don't know until they see the copy too. So. Yeah, it's more a series of questions, getting like hitting on their audience's pain points, their dreams, their goals, their aspirations, all the things like that.
Like the more you can get people to talk, the more
Yeah.
you can understand their language style and how they would communicate.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love it when people want more personality in their copy because I feel like sometimes people especially if they come from corporate, their copy is more
Mm,
rigid. It's just kind of, it's either too rigid or it just sounds like everybody else. But I love it when people say, no, I want lots of personality. And it doesn't have to mean it's like this big, bold, loud thing in your face. It just means like it's really relatable. Somebody's going to read it and nod along and be like, oh, yeah, that's so me. That's, definitely me. And then they just feel more invested in what the person is selling.
yeah, I was gonna say, give us some examples of like more personality. Is that like stories and um like relatable, like little one-liner stories and quips and like here's what's happening in my life and things like that. And then how would you write that if you're not, I guess, in I don't know, full of questions.
No, it's all good. Yeah, there's so many different ways to add personality. Stories, definitely, because stories are just, we all know stories are just so memorable, but they're also so ownable. Like nobody else can share the stories that you share. When you think about it, if you share a business story or a childhood story or a client success story, like you
Yeah.
own those stories. Nobody else can copy them. And if they do, that's just weird because it's not their stories. They haven't lived them. So,
And your
um,
stories are kind of what make you quirky. They're what
yes,
make up
yes,
your life and make you who you are. So sharing more stories is maybe what connects us as humans.
yes, absolutely. Connection points for sure. And also, I think people get hung up on like, oh, it has to be this big, epic, groundbreaking story. It doesn't. It can be like a simple story of like you went for coffee today and something funny happened there, or just like little slices of life. Those can make great stories because they're relatable. It's not like you had this near death experience. Like that's just kind of over the top sometimes, right? So, yeah,
Yeah.
stories. I love adding little bits of humor and wittiness, just like, little bits of micro copy in the main copy. Yeah, and just,
Micro copy.
yeah, yeah.
Fun.
Sometimes little bits of sarcasm, like tiny bits. You don't want to have the copy too sarcastic or anything, but there's just different ways to play with your copy to have more personality.
Yes. And I love this. It's like copy is just speaking to people. It's just communication.
Yeah, absolutely. Communication. And I mean, the main goal with your copy is that you want people to read it to feel something. You certainly want them to stay on the page so it's engaging, it's fun. But then, of course, you want them to do something. You want them to take that next step, whether it's just, downloading your free thing or booking a call or buying
Mm.
something. You want them to feel like, I could wait, but I don't want to. Like, I want to take that next step now.
Oh, I love it. So tell
Yeah.
us how we can find you and follow you and work with you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much. My website would be the best place to go to because it's got my services, it's got my book, it's got templates too for somebody who wants to DIY their copies. So it's
So,
NicoleKepic.com, my first and last name.
ooh, and tell us the name of your book.
Okay, it's called Don't Ask Me to Be Loud, The Introverted Girl's Guide to Online Business. So again, speaking like, oh, don't ask me to be loud, like just let me be me. But the
Love it.
caveat, of course, I just want to say the caveat to that is I do feel like as an introvert or anybody, you do need to be willing to step out of your comfort zone too. So stay who you
Yeah.
are, but every once in a while, get out of your comfort zone, try new things. Otherwise, you're just going to miss out on so much.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank
It's
you.
been so beautiful. Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Be the Dream podcast. In the show notes, you're going to find links to be a guest on the show, the free Jumpstart Journal, and a place to book your free 15-minute one-on-one coaching call where I will guide you on how to step more fully into your dream. Don't forget to share this episode with a friend. Let them know that you're thinking about them, and let's share inspiration with as many people as we can. We could all use a little more motivation. See you next time, and until then, remember to be the dream.